more than 12 months in the last 3 years applies only for the outgoing country. So if you go to the US, you must not have been for more than 12 months there in the last 3 years. When you return to Europe, it can be any country, and you don't have to think about the mobility rule then when you go back. So it could also be Tunisia, it could be any other country in Europe. Okay? So this is an important difference. Yes, talking about money. This is always important, of course. We have basically two categories. The first one being research costs, and all the amounts I mentioned now are per month. So you will receive a living allowance, and this is the salary. And the amount here is unfortunately not you will get at the end. This is the gross amount. It's 4,880 euros per month before you have deducted all taxes and social security costs, etc. All right. So this has to be taken into account. Then you will receive a mobility allowance, 600 euros a month, and also this is your private money to use for traveling. Maybe you have double cost of living, etc. So it's not traveling for professional reasons within the project. It's your private money. And if you are married or have children that you are responsible for, you get 500 euros a month in addition. The second category are the institutional costs. So we have on one hand the research training networking costs, 800 euros a month. And this money is managed by the host organization, but they must use it for you and for your activities. So of course it's about the research cost itself, if you have your consumables, etc. But it can also be like training, going to conferences, taking some courses. It should be used for you and your activities and your career development. All right. And for the organization itself, they receive 650 euros a month for management and overhead costs. Taking a look on how you can calculate the grant. Again, one nice thing with MSCA is that in the application itself, you don't have to show any budget calculation, but for you and yourself and the hosting organization, of course, you should know approximately how much money you will get from the Commission as to be able to plan your research project. All right, and see if you can manage with this money. And if you cannot, then we need the commitment from the host organization to come up for the difference. Of course, as you can see, the contribution you get to the research activities is the same for all scientific disciplines. So for some people, this amount, this contribution is a lot, and they are so happy with this money. And in some disciplines, which is very cost intense, it may not cover all the costs that you will have. So this is important to think about. So the grant calculation is based on fixed units, as I showed you, multiplied by the number of months. So it's very easy. And also in the application itself, when you submit, we will see this later on, you just have to enter the duration and where you are going, and everything else is calculated automatically. Another thing that you need to think about with regard to the living allowance is that you have to consider the country correction coefficient. Because you can imagine it's a huge difference if you go to Switzerland to carry out your project or if you go to Bulgaria. We have a very different cost of living. And for this, you can find all the country correction coefficients or CCC in the work program. So just to give you a few examples from the work program, it's very practical to be from Austria because we are always in the first place. So for Austria, for example, you have 106.7, which means that you have to multiply the 4,880 with 1.067. Okay, so a plus of 6.7%. And for, you have the full table if you take the work program. For Tunisia, we have a correction coefficient of 67.5%. Okay, so you have to take this into consideration. The mobility allowance and family allowance can be subject to taxation. In some countries it is, and in some it's not. So again, in Austria, to make a little bit promotion for Austria too, the mobility allowance is tax-free, which is very nice. And the family allowance is based on your status at the time of the deadline, and it will not be changed later on. Okay, so if you plan to marry, then do it before the deadline. And for a very precise picture of what you get at the end, you should ask the host organization, because they know about social security, taxation, and all these things, right? And to just give an impression of the amounts you get at the end, for a European fellowship, if you go to Belgium, you will get around 180,000 euro in total. Or for a global fellowship with return phase in Belgium, you would receive a bit less than 270,000 euro. A very new thing in MSCA is the possibility for disabled researchers to apply for extra money if this is needed to carry out the project. So for people that receive the grant, they have the possibility to apply for this extra money if these costs appearing are not covered by both organization and kind of social security. A few good to knows before we go to the next presentation. It is possible to work part-time for the individual fellowships for personal or professional reasons, with one exception. During the outgoing phase within a global fellowship, you cannot work part-time for professional reasons, just during the return phase. Okay. Another thing that showed up in the, well, like 2 years ago, is the so-called Seal of Excellence. I think you've heard that the competition in Horizon 2020 is very high, and so it is within MSCA. So the Commission does not have the money to fund all the projects that were well evaluated, that they would assess as worth to fund, so to say. So what they did is to have some kind of a quality stamp for good proposals. Within MSCA, it means like that proposals that get at least 85% or 85 scores out of 100, they get the Seal of Excellence. Now, what can you do with this? In some countries, you can do something with it. For example, in Sweden, in Slovenia, Czech Republic, and a few more, you have national funding schemes that where it is a big advantage to have this Seal of Excellence. Exactly how it works depends on the country. But this may be good to know if you have more than one possibility where to go, and you see that one country has the Seal of Excellence. Sweden, for example, has a very good national scheme for this. And in Italy, we have this at an institutional level, so some of the Italian universities have own funding schemes for Seal of Excellence proposals. And also important for you to know is that since when we have the first call, and this will be the second call, where the Commission introduced the widening fellowships. The widening fellowship can be seen as a second chance if your host organization is in a widening country. And you can see the widening countries here marked in blue and yellow. So also Tunisia is a widening country, I'm sure you know this, which would mean that if you apply, for example, for well, no, it's tricky because this is only for the European fellowships. It's only for the European fellowships. But if you have not, if you have been outside Tunisia and applied for host organization here, or if you plan to go to Portugal or Bulgaria or Poland and a number of other countries, you have this second chance. It works in a very, very easy way for you. The application is exactly as in IF, so what you do is actually you apply for IF. When you submit your application, you just have to tick one box, and we will show this tomorrow briefly. You just have to tick one box, yes, I want to take this additional option, and then you have a second chance because there is a small additional budget for this countries. Yes. Thank you, it's a good question. So the blue countries are member states that are widening, and the yellow countries are associated that are widening countries. So it's a mixture of those. That's in Portugal here, yeah, Portugal. Yeah. And actually, within this first call or implementation for the widening fellowships, Portugal was the most successful country. They got the highest number of widening fellowships. So I'm sure interested also in see how the success rates are. And you know, it's a high competition. As you can see in the first line, the success rate so far has been around 15%. Now the budget from call to call mostly increased, but also the number of applications increased from year to year, as you can see in the second line. So last year, actually, within MSCA, we had the largest call ever that the European Commission had. So you can see 9,676 proposals were submitted within the IF. So it was a huge challenge for RIA, the Research Executive Agency, to handle this huge amount of applications. Yeah, so that's why even if the budget is rising, the success rate has been more or less the same. The good news for you is that for the last two calls, we really have an increase, a larger increase in the budget. So let's hope for the best that for the next two calls, the success rate will increase a little bit. This is what we're looking for. But of course, we cannot know. So just a few things to think about when you start planning your IF proposal. As I said, and as the name says, it is an individual partnership. So we can provide you here with the information you need to start with the framework, so to say, but there are a lot of possibilities when you plan your project. There are a few do's and don'ts, so it's really about you and your career aims. So what you need to describe is not only the research project as such, you also need to show what other kind of skills you will learn within this project and which impact it will have on your career development. So it's a career development scheme, hand in hand with research, of course. Which means that it should, of course, fit with your CV. You need to be able to show that you have the capacity to carry out what you are planning for the next 2-3 years. But not alone, but together with the supervisor, the group there, and the host institution. So at the same time, you have to be able to clearly show what new things you will learn. So this should be obvious to the evaluators. Okay, this is a talented person being here today, want to be there in 2 or 3 years, and this project is the perfect next step to take together. Yes. So with the ideal supervisor and the support of ideal host organization. Now what is ideal? Now the most famous university is not automatically or may not automatically be the best option for you. You need to show that the experience and the support you will get from the supervisor and your host group is the right one for your idea, for your research development. So it's not just putting Oxford in there and then think, oh, this is a guarantee for quality. This will not impress the supervisors. Of course, it's nice, but it's not guaranteed for being successful. You need to show it's the right one for you. I mentioned at the beginning, it's a joint application between the researcher, the fellow, and the future host organization, which means that you need to get in contact with the supervisor in good time, because you need some feedback from the organization as to be able to write a competitive proposal. Okay, so try to get in touch with them in due time. Ask for relevant information, because what we quite often see in applications is that the host organization, the supervisor, sends some very general information. For example, with the experience of the supervisor or infrastructure from the host organization. But this is very obvious to the evaluators. And if you have some generic description that you can see in each second application of this organization, this does not make a good impression. So what is really important in this short application, as we will see, is to include relevant information. What experience does the researcher and the supervisor have that is good, important for you? Which infrastructure does the host organization have that you need? The evaluators will not care if they have the most fantastic analyzing equipment for something that you don't need, right? And what you also need at a very early stage is the so-called participant identification code. You need this to register for the call. And if you have this PIC, which almost all organizations in Europe have, then you just enter this, and most of the information you need to insert with regard to the host organization is automatically in there, and you just have to complement with the contact details of the supervisor. Okay? Yeah, and also when you start to think about your project, keep in mind these things I explained about intersectoral and interdisciplinary aspects, mobility. Would it make sense to you? Think a bit about this. Now, this would be the ideal plan from the NCP's point of view. I know that reality might look a bit different, but ideally you start to think about the project in advance. We have the call opening at 11th of April, which means that all materials, documents, etc. that you need is already online. You can register for the call already today after this workshop. And then you start drafting your application with support and input from the host organization. Then hopefully you can get some input from friends or colleagues reading your application and giving you feedback, and you can improve your proposal. And then we have the deadline, as I said, on the 11th of September. Now what we strongly recommend is not to wait until the last day. You understand, with almost 10,000 applications, this electronic submission system is really under pressure. And also you might have some issues with the internet connection or anything, and this is no excuse for the commission, so they are very, very strict with the deadline. The good thing is that you can submit your application as often as you wish. So just go for it and submit the first version maybe a couple of weeks before the deadline, and then you can just submit again and again as often as you wish. Then you have to be a little bit patient. The evaluation will take around 5 months, and then we will get the results. So that was the introduction about how the different schemes work. Do you have questions? Then in the next section, Manuel and I will talk about the proposal as such, how to set it up, how it should be structured, with information. But for this section, do you have any questions?
Well, thank you for this holistic introduction. It was really very nice. But as I can see that you have, well, don't ask me how I know that, but I can notice from the face that you have different levels. So you have someone who has no idea what is doing very clearly. You have some people that have just a medium idea, and you have some people that have a really advanced idea what is doing very clearly. So please don't be shy and ask the question that you want to ask, because we are going for deeply, a little bit in little details how we propose it, and if you don't get the point from now, you will lose after that, you get bored, and we leave after just 5 minutes, I can tell you. So we need really to have just at least 25% what we are trying to explain to you. عندك أي question حاول تسأل التوابع. حتى تقول أنت ما تعرف شيء. On va essayer de résumer un peu les choses قبل ما تفيدوا تخرج.
Yes, yeah, very good. Yes, please.
My question is how to join and contact
How to get in contact and find? Well, we will talk more, you will talk more about this at the end of your presentation today, right? So we have a few, the best thing is if you have contacts in your network. But there are tools to find host organizations, there are possibilities, and moving tools later on. Yeah, some specific tools. I forgot to say, if you prefer to ask in French or in Arabic,
Then we have secondment period in third country,
secondment period in third country. No, this is
such as United States or Japan.
well, not the secondment. As you know, the secondment is this. It's a stay away. We'll come back to this too. Between for some weeks up to maximum 6 months. It's a secondment period. This is possible only in the European countries. But of course, if you apply for a global fellowship, you will have between 1 and 2 years. Yeah. But secondment, this regime, you can have only in European and associated countries.
Is Japan included?
Japan as third country, yes. So you will need to apply for global fellowship. Exactly.
So I need an organization from Europe before.
You need both, and you need both already from the start.
And it is very responsible.
Yeah.
So you can go to Japan and for 3 years, and you back to Tunisia for 1 year, and you keep your salary. It's 4,000 something. Okay. So we can do it like this, or we can just go for Japan and any other European country.
So Tunisia can substitute a European country.
It is an European country for this program. Okay, so we need to keep in mind it's an European country.
Okay.
Okay, no problem.
En fait, je suis en première année de thèse. Tout d'abord, elle a commencé par dire que ce programme intéresse les students ou ceux qui ont déjà certaines expériences. Donc, je peux comprendre que c'est pas que ça m'intéresse pour le moment.
Oui.
Bien, je peux.
She's just in the first year of PhD, so and she's not you can understand when I'm talking English, right? Okay, good. So this program is for the person who is already holding a PhD, or you have already a master and 4 years of full research work after the master. You have 2 possibilities. You have PhD, already the diploma, or a master diploma with 4 years for full-time research. So we can apply for this. Here you have a master in 1 year just for PhD, right? So we just wait to finish your PhD, and then you can just access to this program. Or we have another tools. We are not going to talk about these tools today. It's for you. That's not you. You can submit this. The head of your laboratory can do this. Do you understand? Il y a d'autres mécanismes. C'est pas vous de submit, mais c'est le chef de laboratoire.
قداش نجم ننتجري من اورجانيزاسيون نوع من الاورجانيزاسيون
في البروجرام هذايا انت وحدك انت دونك انت عندك ليدي وتحب تعمل موبيليتي على الاترونجي في لوروب والا خارج لوروب. كانك باش تخرج لوروب مش تقعد عامين، كانك باش تخرج خارج لوروب مش تقعد عامين، لكن تعاود اوبليغاتوارمون تعاود ترجع لوروب عام. y compris Tunis. Third country, and then we'll back to the European countries. Well, we have two types, but basically it's a bottom-up system. So this is your idea. That's it. You can propose it. You want to develop it in the world. But what happens now is you have a lot of PhD people, and they are looking for idea from it. So the head of many laboratories in the European countries are submitting their idea, and they are asking which profile fit to this idea. So you can apply for this. So it's in double. Yes.
How we can use the funding that we be given to the host organization?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
You indicated that the prize will be given to the host organization for networking and training, something like that. So it should be indicated should be indicated and declared in the proposal, or can be added as annex or just mentioned action.
Information about the host organization?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we will see this in the next presentation, that the choice and the description of the host organization is an important part of the proposal. So you really need to know who you want, to which organization you want to go, and who will be the person who will supervise you. This is essential information to write the application, and for the global fellowships you need both the outgoing host and return host back in Europe.
For example, we can use this funding for training in special domain. Or for having a course in special training?
Yes. So as you can see, we have different cost categories, and you can use the money for the research and training and networking activities very freely. So it's really your money to be used for your activities. And if you have any stayaways, this is. You are employed all the time at the host organization in Europe, okay? And they get the money from the commission, and they will pay you whatever you do. If you then go to US for 2 years, or if you have a secondment in Europe for a couple of months, you will be paid by the European host organization, and also all the activities you undertake during this time will be paid by this organization. They get the money from the commission, and then they pay you and your activities. So if the host organization, together with you, get this project, they are not allowed to use this money for any other things. It's just for your project and for your activities. Even if you go away somewhere else for a while, they are responsible to coming up for the costs.
فهمت دونك عندك سالير ديالك انت 3800 اورو واللابوراتوار اللي تمشي زاد ياخذ سالير السالير
pour la formation du...
مقسم على deux parties 800 euros اللي تكون بايع التاعك ولا الكونسومابل تاعك 650 euros اللي هو المانجمنت تاع اللابوراتوار تاعك دونك هو مشى الفلوس اللي كنت تخلص وانت السالير تاعك باش تستعملها في الريشيرش اللي انت باش تعيش فيها Comme question.
That include other medicine and health sciences or only biotechnology or
Or, so you can choose any research topic with the few exceptions and showed on the one slide. So some research about embryonic cells and these things, but except of that, you can choose any topic. And the costs are covered as far as they reach, so to say. So you have to calculate with this amount as to see how much can you do with this money. But what you do, you can decide yourself.
The criteria of acceptance of the proposal, what are the main criteria?
We will talk about this.
Obviously, will be the topic of the next 2 hours.
I'd like to know maybe about the particular situation here in Tunisia. It's about medical doctors because in the majority of cases we don't have PhD. So first of all, if it's mandatory to have master cadre, is it mandatory to be a research master or any master degree?
It's a research master.
Research master, okay. And then you talk
If you
about
are working in the
4 years.
hospital for 4 years,
Yeah.
we just get a paper from the head of this laboratory saying this is you have been here working for 4 years, and it will be counting for master for 4 years for that research.
Okay, and 4 years of full-time research science.
It's like working with a contract.
Okay.
Yes.
Because in our activities it's not full-time research.
I know, but you can just say this is a
Can
full.
be,
If you are not doing any other works with this is a full-time work. Do you understand what I'm saying?
but okay.
See, you are doing 2 jobs. You're the head of the lab, can give you a paper. Just
Okay.
attestation.
Can we choose 2 partners? In the
Two
yes.
No.
2 partners.
No, you can choose just one partner. It's called host institution, laboratoire d'accueil. وتنجم يكون عندك un autre laboratoire اللي تمشي له pendant 6 mois durant les 2 ans. يلزم الكونديسيون باش تنجم يكون عندك هذه الموبيليتي في اللابوراتوار تاعك يلزم التكنيك ماهيش موجوده في اللابوراتوار نتاعك. دونك هو عنده الحق باش يمشي في اي لابوراتوار يكون موجود في بلاد اخرى، معناها تنجم انت تونسي مشيت لالمانيا خاص اورجانيزيشن تاعك pendant 2 ans. لكن durant les 2 ans هذوما يلزمك تمشي لفرنسا 3 mois باش تحضر تكنيك هذيك و 3 mois في ايطاليا باش تحضر في نفس التكنيك. هذه يسموها صدام تحكيت عليك فوالا.
Well, now I don't know what to answer. But of course, you have the possibility to have cooperations.
Yeah. So, but he's thinking that you can have like 2 fast organizations.
Donc, juste, est-ce qu'il faut avoir toujours donc, historique avec le laboratoire d'accueil?
سي مش عارف كيف هي بعديك كيفاش الشوا نتاع اللابوراتوار تاعك تاعك سي دوت لازم يكون عنده بوا انترناسيونال.
When I would like to make a conference, can I have funding about my project?
If you make a conference
Yes, international conference.
within finance within your project, basically yes. Of course, you are limited by the contribution you get. So the question is how far you can get in organizing conference, because What we will show in the next presentations, when you describe your project, this becomes part of the grant agreement with the Commission, which means that you have to do what you write there. Now, if you have a big conference, you will probably not have so much money over left for other things. And to organize a conference can be part of your activities, but it should not be the main activity you are doing, right? So it is eligible costs, but if you plan just a big conference and less other activities, you will have a very bad evaluation. Yes.
أما حاجة نحب نركز عليها قبل ما نقدموا اللي تريز امبورطون اللي هي إذا فما شكون بيناتنا اثنين شيف دو لابوراتوار سي تريز انتريسون راهو ينجم يكون عنده فولور هذايا ولا الابليكون ولا ليتيديون يجي لتونس. دونك ماهوش فماش كان السونس ان التوانسه تخرج للأوروب، مش كان التوانسه تخرج للثيرد كونتري كيما امريكا. دونك احنا en tant que pays associé, on peut avoir des étudiants qui يجيونا لهنا. دونك إذا بيناتنا شيف دو لابوراتوار ينجم يحط دوموند في البروفيل اللي وجهه ليه. دونك 4800 euros يولي يجيك انت نيجيريا ماروكان نيمبورت كال ناسيوناليتي لتونس لهنا. تخلصوا لا كوميسيون اوروبيان en tant que postdoc والشيف دو لابوراتوار التونسي ياخذوا هذوكم 1800 euros par mois par personne. وقت يبدا عنده الاتيديون.
But I think also that it will be much clearer what is possible and what is foreseen after the next presentation. And I also wanted to add that, of course, you don't only have the possibility to lead yourself. You can also, if you are a more mature, more experienced researcher, you can also think about get someone here to your research program, right? So these are, the other way to act as a supervisor.